Insanity is Good here, and welcome back to Umineko no Naku Koro. And with me, as always, is my good friend Kit.
Good evening, everyone out there in Streamland.
So, yeah, this is, enjoy this chapter. That's all I can really say. Do you hear
And
the game? Okay.
yeah, I got it good. But apparently, according to you, we haven't gotten into the good shit, the good kush yet.
No, not yet. Just gotta enjoy this chapter while it lasts.
Oh gosh, okay. Well, everybody strap yourselves in, get yourself some sweet stuff, get your little sugary drinks and water, because we're about to go rolling.
There's a storm.
You mean literally or figuratively?
I mean, in the story, literally.
Uh,
Here it's, clear. Okay. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I'd already guessed they'd been talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all of us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance, back and forth about the distribution of the gold if it was found, about advance payments in cash. It was so despicable I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked to and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents. I get it. Now I totally see why grandfather hates coming down for meals. I'm so disillusioned with our parents right now. All that about money and the inheritance. How can they act like that right out in the open? Well, I'm already completely disillusioned with my old bastard. There's no way I could think any worse of him. That's exactly the same for me. Still, that freaking shocked me. Shocked me to the core. Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear.
Okay, so mine is still getting a little hiccup with the stream, so excuse me for being a little bit delayed.
It's okay.
You're all minors being supported by your parents, so you might not understand. But getting money is neither a simple thing nor a pretty thing. The only mature child in the room. I won't try to force you to understand right now since you're still kids. But even so, I want you to realize that your parents are just doing their best in their own way.
Oh, great. George and Niki's gotten all mature. George Nissan, I know you're working hard as a full-fledged member of society, but does that mean you turn into a shameless, greedy vulture like our parents whenever you start talking about money and assets?
If it were only for my own benefit, then no, I wouldn't want to do that. However, when your family and your employees, your subordinates and their families are all counting on you, there are some times when you must fight.
I hate that kind of fight. That back and forth about grandfather's inheritance just makes me want to puke. Jessica pretended to spit violently. That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear. Let's stop talking about this. All this about grandfather sitting gold, property, and inheritance is our parents' problem, not ours.
I agree. At the very least, I think children have a duty to be considerate and stay out of their parents' way when they're talking together.
Sounds pretty boring. Everyone knows the phrase adults are filthy, but we had now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. George Aniki was now pretty much an adult, and I'd already been disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she'd received a bigger blow than I'd thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does. And then her parents started raging about, going, money, money, inheritance, inheritance, my money. Right in front of all the other parents and the children. So surprised she received such a shock from hearing that.
Jessica-chan, please don't start hating your mother and father. I won't ask you to understand them, but at least don't hate them.
I get it. Just leave me alone for a bit. 6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all dejected, but I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realized it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily and left the parlor. She probably wanted to be alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left.
Come to think of it, I wonder where Maria-chan went.
She's probably pouting in front of the portrait. Maria truly looked up to witches, and she'd expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, George and Iki and I just abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night.
I wonder what's happening with that typhoon. Maybe there's something about it on the news.
George and Iki started walking over to the corner of the parlor where the television was. He hadn't called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less what the typhoon was on the sea now. So without going over to the television, I loitered around the window.
The wind hasn't picked up that much here, but I wonder if it's horrible over the sea. I did hear about a severe storm warning on the weather report.
Ah, Kyrie-san. I take it those big talks between the adults are going smoothly, yeah? She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kyrie-san shrugged.
I wonder if that stomachache of a discussion will continue all night. It's not going to be fun.
Well then, please enjoy playing vultures to grandfather's property as much as you'd like. I feel sick.
I'll agree with you on that. If I could just slip away like you, I'd do it. Unfortunately, I can't, even if I'm not allowed to speak. We spouses have it pretty rough too.
Kyrie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. He probably wouldn't let Kyrie-san speak, since she only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she's had no choice but to stay by his side and support him. She's probably had to bear the full brunt of this mental pressure, much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being. So, how does it look? Are they still stuck on the topic of the mysterious witch, Beatrice?
More or less. Those four siblings are always piling up secret agreements when they come together to discuss the division of grandfather's inheritance. They're saying that some unknown fifth person has appeared and is trying to make things even more complicated, and there's no way that it'll make for a peaceful conversation. Just when you think they're snarling at each other, they'll set up a common front. Natsuhine-san's not the only one getting headaches.
Oh my god, I think there's a mosquito in my apartment and it keeps biting me, and this sucks. Anyway, sorry. On the one hand, they all want a larger portion than the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want one yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're also all allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations, setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. That they would go this far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience. So, basically, Beatrice is like an assassin sent by grandfather. He probably wanted to scare the hell out of his children for talking about the inheritance without him.
Who is this Beatrice, I wonder? If everything she claims is true, then she's a mystery figure that no one knew about until today. And she also knows about grandfather's hidden gold. On top of that, she was even entrusted with the head's ring that was thrown out the window and picked
Yes.
up by a random stranger.
Or by
She
a
must
witch.
truly have been trusted by him. I mean,
By a
yeah,
witch.
yeah.
Well, obviously, I don't think she's a witch riding around on a broom. But there's no doubt she's a mysterious person who's earned the right to be called a witch.
If only Maria-chan would go into more detail about that. Everyone's been smothering her, even though she's just a little girl. They really scared her, and some things they might have asked now can't be asked. I wonder. If those people have ever even read The North Wind and the Sun.
What we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. Oh, if you guys don't know what the North Wind and the Sun is, it's an old Aesop fable about a contest between the sun and the north wind. And there's this traveler walking on a road, and they were
And
trying
both
to...
of them were trying to get the traveler to take off the coat.
Yeah,
The moral of the story is that you can do more with patience than with hurrying.
yeah,
Like force won't get you what you want, but patience and coercion will.
yeah, basically, because the wind kept blowing and he kept his coat on, but that the sun just sat there. and it got hot, and because it got hot, he took his coat and hat off, and so the sun won. But yeah, Aesop's Fables, good stuff, good stuff. Some of it's weird, but good stuff.
I'm mad at Aesop because sometimes the foxes are always the villains in Aesop's Fables.
Yeah, I love foxes. They have a bad rep, which is
And
sad
yet
because
the spiders are always the tricksters. Although it kind of stands to reason because sometimes like there's a god of trick there's a trickster god and it's a spider.
yeah, we had a we had an old like fairy tale mythos book my mom used to have that had like stories from all around the world. There was a story about the trickster god. I think it's from Africa or something. I can't remember exactly where, but it was interesting stuff. Anyways, what we do know is that Maria received a letter from a person who took the name Beatrice. She sure is she sure is shy for a mystery person. Say that 10 times fast. And trusting Maria with the letter and hiding away even now, when she could have just appeared to talk to us directly.
Hey, Battler-kun, do you really think a person called Beatrice actually exists?
Who knows? Doesn't it really seem like a false name? Like she's grandfather's representative, so she was given permission to take the name of the witch from his delusions?
No, that's not what I meant. Right now, there's a total of 18 people here on Rokinjima.
And, to double check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yep. Do you think there's a 19th person?
Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many. Do I think that a 19th person exists? What exactly do you mean?
Just what I said. I'm sorry, I love this music right now.
The music is so good, I love it, like...
This is good thinking music right here, you guys. The person who lent Maria that umbrella supposedly wasn't one of us 18. So, isn't it natural to assume that a 19th person exists? And that this person lent Maria the umbrella?
Well, yeah, it sure looks that way.
Then, where exactly is this person now? At the very least, she must have been on the island when it started raining.
Rocks, the cues I'd give my soul for the soundtrack, but you said it's spoilers. I know the soundtrack is very good, but because certain tracks, when you hear them for the first time, certain things are happening, and it's really epic, and I don't want it to be ruined for you, so...
What I want to do is once all this is over, I want to find this track and I want to remix it. I want to like clean it up a little and just like freshen it up, just give it a new coat of paint and just say, here, when you remake this game. At the very least, she must have been on the island when it started raining. And ever since that time, the weather has grown progressively worse. So taking a boat out would be pretty much impossible. In that case, that person must still be on this island, hiding from the rain somewhere, and without any of us spotting her.
True, we've all been randomly prowling around all over the mansion and the guest house, but no one has bumped into a 19th person. this island is huge. There might be other places to take shelter from the rain other than the mansion and the guest house. At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kyrie-san's suspicions were taking us in. Kyrie-san was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us.
If Beatrice is who she claims, she would surely be the most honored of guests. The most honored of confidants, trusted by grandfather. There's no way grandfather wouldn't give that kind of person a warm reception. She would surely have been ushered into the mansion. However, we haven't seen anyone like that.
Oh, kid, I think Rox wants you to do a remix of this track. Because she wrote please in the Twitch chat. Wait a sec, isn't this line of reasoning a bit too hasty? Sure, no one spotted this person, but that doesn't mean you can deny the possibility that a 19th person exists, right?
I mean,
Maybe, for some reason, they landed on the island stealthily and have been hiding ever since. It's what they call a devil's proof. It's easy to prove that something exists. If this Beatrice appears in front of us all and says hi, then it's settled. But it's impossible to prove that there's no 19th person.
yes. Batler-kun, your way of reasoning isn't bad. In our current situation, there isn't enough information to either accept or deny that a 19th person exists. But if you spin the chessboard around and think that way, we can deny the existence of a 19th person with near certainty.
Spin the chessboard around was one of Kyrie-san's favorite phrases. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. When you get stuck trying to find a move in chess or shogi, then by spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you can often see a strategy that'll give you the upper hand. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes.
I like that. You see, let's say that a 19th person called Beatrice actually exists. That person must have managed, without being seen by anyone, to stealthily arrive on this island and remain hidden ever since. Maybe they had some reason, okay? In that case, why? Why did they go to all the trouble of appearing before Maria and handing her the letter?
It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. But even so, they had appeared openly in front of Maria. Then, wait, Maria said it herself. She said the witch made her a messenger. Maybe that's because Maria was the youngest and looked the most obedient.
Why would they need a messenger? If they just wanted a letter delivered to the family conference, they could have mailed it. If they mailed it to each of the 4 siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. Well, let's think about that for a little minute. Let's take a pause here and think about that. This is an island, off-chartered, and privately owned. how long would it take for that letter to get there in time for the family conference?
Well, I'm assuming, because they, like, because Kraus does a lot of business and stuff, they probably have, like, a mailbox, like a P.O. box, probably, at port of the nearest island, like, official, like, on, like, the town where Jessica goes to school. So they probably have a P.O. box there that they use for their mail, so they could have sent it there. But then she goes on to say that if they mailed it to each of the four siblings, no one would be able to ignore it. So she's saying, well, why wouldn't they just mail it to Kraus? But then if they wanted it to each of the siblings, why wouldn't they just mail it to each of the siblings beforehand?
Because they all would have probably ignored it.
That's what she's saying. Nobody would be able to ignore it if each sibling got that same, like, a copy of that letter.
That, or they would have think that one of them, like one of the four, sent it and then had a letter themselves saying something different or something of the same thing, and that way all of them would have been suspicious of themselves.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been Beatrice, it would still have been themselves, though.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, after this talk, I'm going to need to take a vote. We'll talk about that later. There was no need for this person to carry it themselves and secretly deliver it by hand.
Yeah, that does sound pretty weird.
In the first place, if Beatrice existed and wanted to make her presence known to everyone, then she could have just openly presented herself to all of us. Despite that, she chose the vague method of appearing through a little girl called Maria-chan, and only gave us a vague impression of who she was. Contradiction. Let's go a little deeper, shall we? She appeared in front of Maria, trying to give us the impression that a 19th person existed. And yet, she hasn't appeared before us and is hiding somewhere at this very moment. Think about those contradictions. You've got to keep these things in mind when you spin the chessboard around. In short, if a person wants to leave us with the impression that Beatrice exists as the 19th person, what might their goal be?
If this person wanted to hide, then they wouldn't have made their presence known. And if they wanted to show themselves, they wouldn't have used the roundabout approach of entrusting someone with a letter. Which means...
It's simple. Beatrice is one of the 18 people. That's why they want to create the illusion that there are more than 18 people. The 19th person was revealed so spectacularly if someone were to profit from this, it wouldn't be some 19th person in hiding. It'd be one of the original 18 people. Of course, this reasoning is full of holes. Well, at least she knows. At least she knows that. If you turn over even a few of its premises, it'll simply fall apart. but I'm almost completely certain it's correct.
This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly none of the 18 did this, and yet Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice?
I suspected it might have been Maria Chen play acting. But the contents of the message were extremely complicated, and it's hard to imagine Maria Chen writing that herself. However, I can't deny the possibility that Maria Chen is working together with someone.
Wait a sec. Maria's a 9-year-old kid, right? What could she possibly be planning, and with whom? And what about her straightforward, overly honest, obedient nature?
Yes, I also understand what kind of a person Maria Chen is. But that's exactly why I think it's possible. That girl's a dreamer who can't help but look up to and blindly accept the existence of witches. I know where this is going, and I don't like this train of thought. So, if a person appeared in front of her and claimed to be the witch Beatrice, Maria Chen would happily swallow it up, I think.
It's a really dangerous train of thought, because all the adults are under a tremendous amount of stress right now. And it's just not a good road to go down on, because that's how true crime stories happen. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you're saying that if someone disguised themselves by wearing that fancy dress from the portrait, tricking Maria wouldn't be that hard?
Of course, with that reasoning, all of us women would become primary suspects. Anyway, who did Maria Chen encounter? Learning the details of that question would be the best key to solving this riddle. But this key has been firmly locked away inside Maria Chen's heart. Everyone denied the existence of the witch without listening to her, barraging her too much with questions about who Beatrice actually was. She probably won't open her heart to the adults now. You sly! I know what she's doing now.
In the dim hall in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing.
No one believes I met Beatrice! Even though I showed them the letter Beatrice gave, they still don't believe. Anyway, Maria-chan's holding the key. The key to whether Beatrice is one of the 18 or 19th person.
Maria's stubborn, right? When that girl gets angry, it's pretty hard to make her feel better.
Battler-kun, I think a kid like you would be better at cheering her up than an adult like me. After she's feeling better, try asking. I know you don't care about all this back and forth about the inheritance. But don't you find this Western Mansion mystery situation exciting? Who in the world is this person who gave Maria-chan the letter? It makes your intellectual curiosity ache.
You're actually pretty tough, considering you're still excited after being dragged through that endless money talk. Adults can be pretty amazing. I shrugged exasperatedly. But I did notice something. Kyrie noticed how dejected I was after overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion, and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I'd recovered enough to voice my complaints. She wasn't my real mother, so I've never felt like calling her mom, but it did make me think she's a real adult.
And she's playing you like a cheap harpsichord right now.
Yeah. Hey, brats, so this is where you were. Kyrie, you really took your time fixing your makeup, didn't you? I think I'll make a habit of going out to touch up my makeup, too.
I'm sorry. A woman's makeup takes a long time. So, how has the discussion been without me?
I'm sure everything was all peaceful and harmonious. Kyrie-san poked the weak spot under my arm with her elbow. We decided to take a break to cool our heads a little. Looks like we'll be at it all night. Makes me want to cry. His way of talking hadn't changed, but he couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I was sympathetic, but he looked pitiful compared to his normal, energetic self. Still, that rain's just awful. I really don't want to go back to the guest house. Looks like Natsue-san set things up so we could spend the night here in the mansion. What'll we do?
We don't need to decide until you're done, right? If you run so low on energy that you can't return, then we can take them up on their offer.
You're right. We could think about it later. What about you, Battler? If I stayed, I'd just get in the way. I'll be nice and go back over there. I see. Will you go back soon? I don't know. It'd be lonely to head back by myself. I'll gather all the kids and we'll head out. Okay, you go do that. Also, Battler, you won't be going to sleep that easily tonight, right? Yeah, I'll probably be up talking with the cousins. Sounds like we'll be up all night. Is there a problem with that? I see. If you're still awake when the adults' discussion is over, I want to have a little talk as a family. A what? That doesn't sound like you. Apparently, Kyrie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? Oh, sorry. That's Kyrie's line.
What are you talking about?
She asked him in a small voice. It looked like Kyrie-san didn't have a clue what Dad meant either. I also want to talk to you about it, Kyrie. I'll tell you later, so don't ask now. Please. I don't know anyone who neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard. And now he's saying we're gonna have a talk as a family. Both Kyrie-san and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed. Don't look so terrified. I'm the one who should be terrified. After all... At that point he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on airs of importance wasn't much like my dad. You're freaking me out, Dad. Everyone in our family is gathered here now, right? Don't make a big deal out of it and spit it out. Tonight, I will probably be killed. It was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Yeah. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which always looked so sure of itself and which always wore a taunting expression, was strangely frail in a way I couldn't really explain. It was so worn out that he looked like a different person. What? What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like you.
I agree. What happened? You look so timid all of a sudden. It's not like you.
I'm gonna go fix my makeup too. Don't follow me. Dad turned away weakly. After that, only Kyrie and I were left, still wide-eyed. What did he say? Tonight he'll be killed? You don't think that mysterious letter scared him, do you? He's been watching too many serial murder movies. Kyrie-san didn't answer my light-hearted words and continued to stare at my dad's disappearing back.
Fatler-kun, when you told Rudolph-san to spill the beans right away, he left without telling us anything. Even though he said he had something to say to both of us, he didn't answer you. Why? Spin the chessboard around. What do you see?
Well, when he said he wanted to talk but then couldn't, that's a contradiction. What, can you see something by looking from Dad's perspective?
Yes, I can see something. He wants to talk about something. However, he doesn't have the courage to bring it up. So he actually means chase after me, talk to me, and ask me about it yourself. By saying don't follow me, he actually means the opposite. Are we sure? Are we really sure? He actually means follow me and force me to answer. Okay. Calling it now in the bedroom, this woman's a sadist.
Probably.
She wears the pants in that relationship.
Yeah.
Seriously, what a spoiled brat.
What? Can you really call that reasoning? That's ridiculous.
Can great private and police detectives deduce the emotions and feelings between men and women? They can't, right? Figuring out the feelings of the opposite sex is an even more advanced art than exposing the tricks in difficult crime cases. If you ask me, romance novels have much deeper mysteries than masterpiece mystery novels.
I see. Is that how it is?
I'll stand alongside that spoiled brat. He normally loves to bluff, but tonight he's completely tired out from that heated discussion. He probably wants someone to lean on at the moment. And responding to that need is the role of his partner.
Haha. Sounds passionate. Then I'll leave that old bastard in your hands.
Yes, leave it to me.
I called out to Kyrie-san's departing back.
What?
I wanted to say thanks. Thanks to you, my gloomy mood has cleared up a lot.
That's good. Communication is important.
After answering with a wink, Kyrie-san followed after Dad. Natsui could be found in a dimly lit hallway. Now and then the thunder would crash, but this had no effect on her expression. She looked completely worn out. The discussion that had just taken place between the relatives in the dining hall was repeating itself inside Natsui's mind. Beatrice had proclaimed that in addition to the gold, all of the inheritance and property of the Ushiramiya family would be given to the person who could solve the riddle. In other words, she planned to undermine the absolute guarantee that Kraus, as the oldest brother, had to succeed the family head. Originally, the other siblings had absolutely no chance to inherit the headship. To them, this proposal by Beatrice was extremely desirable. It was obvious that they would accept it. There was no need to play some clumsy detective game. Natsui knew that this so-called 19th person, Beatrice, couldn't exist. Naturally, Beatrice was nothing more than a fictional character used to pass a message that Kenzo had written himself. As proof, Kenzo had remained stubbornly neutral as to that letter's authenticity. He was completely ignoring these reckless claims that he shouldn't be able to ignore. He had given up the head's ring. In short, Kenzo had wordlessly admitted that the letter held his own message. Most likely, one of the servants had given Maria the letter. Kenzo had probably worked out an elaborate plan where the dress from the portrait would be prepared, and someone, probably Shannon, would be made to wear it and deliver the letter and the umbrella. By doing that, he could make it seem like the witch from the portrait actually existed. No, if anything, that alone was proof that Kenzo was behind all this. In that case, it was the same as Kenzo trying to butt in on the siblings' private discussion. Then Kenzo, by announcing that he'd give everything to the person who solved the riddle, could weaken Krause's overwhelming advantage. Now it was certain. Kenzo had eavesdropped on the siblings' discussion in the parlor earlier that day. So he had known how Krause had staved off the attack by the other three, and to make the scales of the battle go back into balance, he had sent out this strange letter, which benefited Krause's rivals. He was trying to push this crazy theory so that Rosa, who had a weak position among the siblings because of her age, would join with Neva and Rudolph. Then, with the 3-to-1 advantage, they'd be able to overwhelm Krause yet again and make the ridiculous theories get accepted by force. And by doing that, he gave them the power to resettle what had once been a nearly decided conflict. They had now started repeatedly pressing Krause to pay them a large amount of money. Using the condition that all of the siblings would guarantee Krause's position as the successor, talk about advance payments was being brought up again despite having been rejected once. Of course, even without the story about the hidden gold, the Shiramiya family's store of wealth was vast. That store of wealth alone was more than enough. Even if the hidden gold was buried forever along with Kenzo's death, there would be more than enough to satisfy. Therefore, even if they weren't that interested in the gold itself, Kenzo had managed to instill the lifelong fear that, on the off chance that someone found the gold, that person would be granted the headship. and this kind of Achilles heel would definitely be taken advantage of by someone sooner or later. The only person with this fatal weakness was the successor, Kraus. The other siblings had found... No, they had been told by Kenzo about something that only Kraus could lose, and they had thoroughly taken advantage of that. Natsui, as Kraus's only ally in his painful position and as his wife, wanted to fight alongside him. She kept trying to explain to him that the existence of the gold itself was a farce, and that there was no need for him to compromise. Kraus had always told Natsui. He had told all of the siblings. He always said that the hidden gold was nothing more than an illusion created by Kenzo. Therefore, Natsui had believed it as his wife and had supported her husband on that foundation. Hold on, my toddler's going nuts. Give me a second.
Ah, this music is so good. I'm so mad right now. It's just not fair, and it's just not right. This music shouldn't be this good for how old this game is. This game was ahead of its time with its music. He's gonna curl up on the couch while I keep reading this. So, yeah, he's wanting mommy cuddles, but hopefully this chapter will finish soon, so I can get him into bed.
I mean, I think... Well, no. You've read all of this before, so you should know if we're almost done or not.
Yeah, it's been a while, though. Even so, Natsui's words didn't reach Kraus. Even though Natsui had fought so hard and had lent all of her strength, he continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other three siblings. Natsui sadly and weakly wondered why she could not be of use to him, but started getting angry. It had happened when everyone decided to take a short break to cool their heads. Natsui had flared up against Kraus. Yeah, buddy. Enraged, she had asked why she could not be useful to him. He had then told her that he wanted to talk about something, and invited her into a room that she was normally not allowed to enter. That room had been sealed with a heavy-looking padlock, and just looking at it had given her an uncomfortable feeling. Okay, he's being noisy. Alright. So I think we're probably gonna have to stop here, because mother duties come first.
Alrighty.
But, if you want, hold on, let me save. Because I know we talked about, recording it instead because there's no lag when we do the recording part of it. If you want, we can record the rest of this chapter tomorrow.
That'll depend on what time.
It'd probably be after 10 my time.
So, 11 o'clock my time then.
Yeah. Which if not, we can always wait till Sunday.
Saturday, tomorrow will probably be better.
Okay. Alright, cool. Yeah, we'll finish. Yeah. So, sorry guys. Aw, Rock says, aw, baby. Yeah, sorry guys. But yeah, we'll stop here and, me and Kit will go ahead and record. Maybe we'll do the recording on Discord. So those of you that are part of the Discord,
You guys get this early.
Yeah, you guys get it early. For the other half of this, you're probably gonna have to look on YouTube because we won't be putting it on Twitch. So yeah, just
Sorry,
another
guys.
reason to you know, follow my YouTube channel because there are things on there that won't go on Twitch. Yeah, I know, buddy. So, alright guys, thank you for watching. If you liked it, please feel free to come into the chat next time. Which will probably be Monday with more Death Stranding. Go to give a like, comment, subscribe, and a follow. All that means a lot to me. It gets me one step closer to becoming an affiliate and being monetized, so all of your support really means a lot. And I'm also going to put in the description, if Kit is okay with it, their portfolio, so you guys could check that out. Or
Not really.
no?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
kind of
never
a.
mind. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. Forget I
Sorry,
even said
guys. That's
anything.
kind of a whole secretive thing.
But either way, yeah, guys have a good night, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.